New on AM Extra, when it comes to New Year's resolutions, we talked a lot about personal health, fitness, and finances.
Yeah, but what about your home or your garden? You know, the yard is often the first impression that people see when family and friends come to visit. Dash Skank is the Portland District Manager of the Davey Tree Expert Company, and he joins us live this morning with some tips to get your outdoor spaces in better shape in 2022. Good morning. I don't know if we can we hear you, or is it my IFB? Can you hear us okay?
Oh,
okay.
sorry. Yes. Good morning.
Okay,
Sorry
we've
about
got
that.
audio. We've got audio.
It's Zoom. New year, same Zoom calls. It's all good. So Dash, what can people do now to start the year off, right in their yard and garden?
Well, January and the beginning of the year is a great time to come up with a plan, because a lot of the things that you implement in your garden, you probably won't start until the springtime. And so now is a really good time to actually think about the changes that you want to make, whether it be planting that new tree or changing your garden, maybe making your property and your garden a little more water efficient, those sort of things. So you want to come up with a plan, and that might be talking with a landscaper or a designer or even an arborist to kind of figure out what your goals are and what you can do to accomplish those goals.
Now, is this a good time to inspect your trees and shrubs for insects or disease, or should you wait a little further into the season before you do that?
This is a great time to do that sort of thing. One of the reasons why we like to start doing tree inspections now is because, as you know, we're going into, we call it the storm season up here. It's where we end up getting some of these unexpected storms or ice storms like we did last year. And so going out and inspecting your trees to make sure that there isn't any dead in them, or there's no hazards, we can address those problems before they become a bigger problem. You know, like, for example, if something were to fall or break and landing on your home or your car. A lot of these things we can identify early and take care of while they are still standing rather than when they're on the ground. And so it's a great time of year to inspect the tree, to have an arborist come out and look out and check for things like mushrooms and fungal growth on trees as well. So this is a really, really good time of year to do that. And most arborists do that sort of services.
That's interesting. I wouldn't think really to do any of this stuff in the winter, right? I'm normally just not thinking about the yard stuff at all. Now, you say mulch is really important too. Why is that?
Yeah, mulch is great for a couple of reasons. So in our landscape, one of the biggest things we see and have been seeing recently is just drought stress. And so mulch is a great tool to help with that. So when you lay down mulch around your trees, around the base of the trees, it does a couple things. One, it keeps the moisture in the ground. It keeps the roots cool. It helps maximize the water that you do put onto the trees or on your landscape. And also another benefit is it helps with compaction. Soil compaction is a big problem for trees. And so mulch and wood chips around the root zone and the drip line of the trees really helps to minimize that sort of thing.
Yeah, especially if you have a substantial yard and a few trees. I mean, watering can really be a lot. I mean, you know, in terms of the water usage. So you mentioned a couple of ways. How can people make 2022 a water-wise year in the yard in terms of conserving the water that they do have to use in their yard and gardens?
Well, the time of the day that you do water is always important. So you want to water in the early mornings when it's nice and cool. You don't want to water in the middle of the day where you're going to lose a lot of that to evaporation. And also, this is a great time of year when if you do decide to change your landscape, to put in the native trees or trees that are just a lot better with water, maybe don't need as many needs or as much water as some other trees. And so that's a really good thing to do. And then when you do water, specifically with trees, I get this question a lot. It's like, what's the best way to water? And trees like deep, infrequent soaking. So you'd go out, you'd really saturate the soil around the drip line. You'd do that maybe once or twice a month, depending on the type of tree. But, you know, the type of tree will dictate on how much water it's going to need. And if you do end up with native trees in the area, you're just going to be far better off that way.
Okay, some good things to keep in mind. Dash, you've given me a whole new to-do list for 2022. Well,
I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. It's good to be prepared. Dash Skank from Davey Tree Expert Company. Thanks for sharing the tips with us. Have a good weekend.
You too. Thank you.
Well, if you need some professional help with your trees and lawns, check out their website, davey.com.